That's not good at all. Yeah. Not a good day for the Sportsman, boys. And not a good day for the Sportsman at all. This could be fatal. We shall see. We shall see. Well, when you live in Canada, freezing climates, when you have an air filter and it's frozen, that's not a good thing. We've got some cheapy oil sitting there. If you look way down underneath, look underneath there, you've got drain pan. I know I've mentioned in a few videos, this freaking tool is awesome. You gotta get one, man. 14mm socket, a spark plug socket that I had to get because I didn't have one that size. We've also got side cutters for snip and zip ties, because we all know I got lots of those on this machine. Yeah, so that's what we got going on. All right, guys, I just thought we'd just get real here for a minute. Give you a bit of an update on what's going on. It's a Saturday afternoon. I worked yesterday, and then I work again tomorrow. So on my Saturdays in between those two shifts, I got to work. You know, like, if I don't have any family commitments or obligations, and usually I just spend some time in the garage, tidy some things up, whatever. Hopefully I don't have to fix anything. Maybe I got the odd job that, the missus needs me to get done that I said I was going to do before and I never got around to, and she calls me on it, stuff like that. Anyways, I thought I would just take this opportunity to just give you guys an update on what's going on with Mr. Sportsman over here. To tell it to you bluntly, it's not good. Things are not good. It's not good at all. Let's start with, I had an awesome ride 2 Sundays ago. So all three guys have never been to the ATV park. Actually, sorry, back that up. One guy whose name is Michael, he had been in the area a few times, but he didn't know where to go. So he just sort of toured around a little bit. So Michael built himself up a nice 2019 Polaris Sportsman, and he's turned it into a mud bike, very similar to what I did. But he did everything probably a way better than I did. He's a mechanic by trade, and he likes to build his own things. He doesn't like paying for things that he can make. And his machine is really cool looking. I did post something on Instagram and Facebook a while back. Got a lot of comments about his bike and the way it looked and the rad relocate. Let's get back on track here. So my last ride out, this thing worked awesome. Let me tell you, there was our two Polaris 850s. We both had the same tires, 2-inch lift, and we dominated. The other two bikes that were there, Wes had his 2014, and he had 30-inch BKT tires on it. He said they're true 30s. I don't know, man, because the other bike that was there was Tyler, and he was driving his 2018 XMR 1000 with the crypted tires on, which we all know quite well, and we know they're not 30, and they basically got hung up in all the exact same places. Which, if you follow the channel, you would have seen that video already. But at the very end of the ride, my machine shut down. I didn't know why. I thought it had something to do with my RJ exhaust. I had a similar situation earlier this summer. I could barely drive the machine by the time I got back to Buddy's place. Repacked the exhaust, all was good. Until now. Did a lot of mud, did a lot of water, and the machine started acting up. I was in a couple trenches, it started acting funny, then it was fine. I went in this one trench. And I kind of got, something happened and I caught an edge. It grabbed me and it went up like this. So then my exhaust was under the water and I was down to like half RPMs. Like 2,800 RPMs is all I could get. And I was like, whoa, this is not good at all. This is definitely not good at all. Got it straightened out. As soon as the exhaust came out of the water, no problem. I had full throttle again. It seemed fine. Got out of that hole, and I said to myself, okay, that's it for like deep water for me for the day. So then we loop back around. I take him to this other trail, and there's a deep spot that's really dug out, and they both got stuck in it, and then I breezed right through it. And that really comes down to tires and ground clearance and the four-wheel drive system of the Polaris. Like, that's over the stock Visco of the Can-Ams. That was the difference there. So then we leave that hole, and then it's really like 30 seconds down to the next one. When it's full of water, it's deep. And I kind of forgot how deep it was, and it was full. I look up, Wes had already gone through it, and he was struggling. So I jumped in to sort of help him, and it was freaking nuts deep, man. It was like, holy lifting. So we pushed him out. He didn't have to winch from that one, but I think it took two of us to push him from the back. So naturally, what do? If you remember, I just said I didn't want to do any deep water. I go back to my machine, and I go, well, I guess I got to go through it and actually go all the way through it, make it through the hole. That's what I did. As soon as I went in the hole, my exhaust went under the water. I was right down to like half RPMs again because the restriction that was in my exhaust and the restriction from the water, the exhaust gases couldn't escape. So it was really taxing the system. So we got it out of there, and I was like, wow, what was I thinking? I'm an idiot. I told myself I wasn't going to do that. All's good. We finished driving the trail around, and it's starting to act a little funny. But again, it's just the exhaust getting plugged up, right? So I'm still playing tour guide. I point some directions. We could go back through the hydro lines, or we can maybe just go down and take the road. And Wes is like, yeah, why don't we just take the road back to the parking lot? You said things weren't feeling quite right. And I go, yeah, exactly. My exhaust, something's not right. Let's just take the road. So as we go take the road, we get maybe halfway back to the parking lot. I'm driving along. I'm starting to lose. I'm giving throttle, and I don't get the same response. And then, and it just quits. Tried starting it, wouldn't start. Gave it some gas, and it would start. As soon as you let off the gas, it died. I'm like, boys, one of you guys is going to have to tow me back to the parking lot. So I wasn't overly concerned about it. I figured, well, something's wrong. It wants to start, so okay, you know. So I get a hold of my young lad. He was home. He came pick me up. Came back, got the trailer, went to load it up. I'm like, hey, let's try it. So I turn the key, fires right up. Sounds a little funny. It didn't sound quite right. It ran, no problem. I try to drive it, go to drive it on the trailer. As soon as I go up the incline of the ramp, it dies as it got under load. I'm like, okay, winch on the trailer, no big deal. Short 10-minute drive home, go to unload it. Oh, let's start it again. Crank it up, fires right up, runs okay. Back it out of the trailer, and it does not sound very happy at all. So I'm like, oh, what the frig is going on? You can hear noises in the valve cover area, and some stuff just didn't feel right. So after a couple days, when I get a break from work, I start looking at the bike, and I started up, and it's like, man, I'm hearing valve train noises. That's not good at all. Not good at all. So I shut it off. I'm like, ugh. So let's start investigating. So it's like, well, let's open up the airbox. Open up the airbox, and I couldn't believe what I found. This thing was just drenched. I'm like, oh my God. I take a look inside the clean side of the airbox, and I can see wet condensation on the back wall. I'm like, oh my God. My freaking stomach just dropped. Like crazy. Like, oh my God. This is horrible. Bad news. So after chatting with some of my Polaris guys, do a compression test, drop the oil, do a couple, see if you can get it up, see if you can get it to run, and do that kind of things. And I'm like, I know deep down it's toast. Cross your fingers, hope for the best. As I mentioned, I have a video talking specifically about my friends at Crossings Road and Trail, the Polaris dealership in Prescott, Ontario, and so they kind of came on board with the channel back in September. So I figured, you know what? Before I go too crazy, let's talk to them and see what they have to say. So I want to kind of follow their steps. Anyway, so I talked to the main technical guy, and he gives me a couple of directions. He said, make sure you drain so there's no water left in it. And I told him I just stalled on the road. I didn't go underwater and it didn't suck a bunch of water in. I said, I don't really know what happened to it, but all I know is that there's water in the intake. Now, again, I don't have heat in my garage here. It's cold, and it was frozen. So I warmed everything up, and it came undone, and there's water and mud and gook in it. Oh. Take off the one intake runner, that's the lowest one, and it's, you can see there's been some gook that's gotten in here, and I know it's bad. So once I do an oil change, I fire it up, and the thing barely wanted to run. Change the oil again, it's bad news. So then I go and do a compression test, and I'll show you the results of that, and it's bad. It's not good. I guess the question is, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I've really been giving it some thought, and my buddy Dan, who used to go by High Lifter Dan, and he's got his Can-Am Renegade now, and he's really happy with it. And it's like, oh, don't buy that friggin' High Lifter again. Now, he had a bad experience. I think he just had a lemon, and his dealer didn't help him out very much, and that's a sad story. But I gotta tell you, I love my Polaris. I love the four-wheel drive. There's things I don't like about it, but there's things I do love about it. I love this machine. Like, I love it. But I'm at the point where, what do I do with it? Right? Like, what do I do with it? What's the best course of action? Like, I got to weigh the options. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for it to go. Like, honestly, I'm getting to the point. This whole snorkel system right here, I know I fixed the one thing. It's been working really good. But this snorkel stuff is done. I need a new air box. And what I didn't mention already was, what I discovered was, see this dark spot? That's oil that came out from the inside of the air box. Okay? So it got oily. This is a big breather tube. And when you get it cockeyed and doing different things, you couldn't get some oil up in here, or you get some different back pressure, blah, 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 blah. I don't know the technical terms, but I looked and I put the light in here and had the light inside here, and you can see the light coming out. I'm like, holy frig. This is where the leak was. There wasn't a failure in this system. Like, I never swamped it. And so what happened was, this leak may have been going on for a little while, and I didn't know, and I would get a little bit of water in there, but I went quite deep twice that last ride, and that's what did me in. And probably as soon as I did some dipsy doodlings with some of the water that got in, it got in and got moved around, and it sucked it in the intake, sucked her in the throttle bodies, and she was game over. So I need a new air box. And I'm done. Like I said, I'm done with this freaking snorkel system. I'm at least I would have to get ditch all this crap, ditch it all, and get an air box off of a high lifter, and get the high lifter air intake, which comes up and down and around here, and maybe get the ductwork for the other side. I don't know, but it starts adding up dollars real fast. So, this thing is not perfect. I've replaced a lot of parts, but my diff, I got problems with that pinion bearing. I replaced that pinion bearing and it moves. Like, this diff will not last. This one's not very tough. You can do the razor conversion, but that's like $1,500. Like, I don't know. But this is what I've been thinking. This is what I'm thinking that I just may do. Bear with me here a little bit, but let me just walk you through this. I really love the idea of the Polaris Sportsman S. I really do. But the Polaris, and I examined it, I'd love to get one, but I want one that's a mud-ready bike, mud off-trail bike that's ready. And the Sportsman or the Scrambler S is not. And I am not getting a machine that is not mud-ready. So that means I basically got to get a high lifter. Like if they come out with a new Sportsman S Highlifter type model, that's what I'd be excited about, but that's going to be a year away for sure. And right now, I can't wait. So basically my options are try to get a remanufactured engine, do a swap. That's what we're looking at. The dealer's going to get me a price on. Talking to my buddy Taryn from Monsters of the North. He wants to maybe work with me on doing a rebuild if it's worthwhile. But you don't really know until you get in there and see, like, hopefully there's no damage on the cases. If the case is scored and damaged, then we're pretty well screwed. It's a sad time, but you've got to face the facts and put your big boy pants on and figure out what you're going to do. Maybe I'll rebuild it. I mean, it all comes down to the mighty dollar. What's going to make the most sense financially? Because money don't grow on trees. I mean, I'd be looking at having to, sell my big trailer out there to help fund the project. Like, that's what I would have to do. I don't have any snowmobile right now, so I mean, I do use the trailer for moving the machine around. But if the machine's sitting here broken, what's the point of having a trailer? I could probably get some pretty good money for it right now. But then again, you gotta buy another trailer. I don't know. It's endless, boys. It's friggin' endless. That's all I know. It's endless. You know what? I'm really not sure what I'm gonna do. But I want to keep my options open. Like I said, I love my Polaris. But I mean, I'm gonna explore, You could look at some Can-Ams. I mean, I wouldn't look at anything else. I like a minimum horsepower level is what I'm accustomed to, and that's where I want to stay. I'm going to try to make the best decision I can. That's going to be make the most sense and hopefully not keep me down for too long. But you know what? I'm not going to be riding for a while. I know Richard from Elemental ATV is like, hey man, you know what? You can take my machine for a ride if you want. Get some more hours in on it for me. Yeah, he's trying to convert me to, and then, hey, by the way, maybe I got some specials going on down at the dealership. But we'll keep our options open and we'll go from there. What I would like from you is, in the comments, give me some of your thoughts. What do you think I should do? What's the best options? Should I rebuild it for sure? I mean, it really depends on the amount of damage. Or should I just replace the engine with a remanufactured one or a rebuilt one? That's an option, but that gets expensive. Or should I get something new? What should I get? Leave me some comments, give me your thoughts. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming along for the ride, and I'll see you in the next one.